new ones that are going to make their commitments in front of all of us. And if we could keep to maximum of 2 minutes for reading each commitment, I think we'll be able to move quickly. But if not, we'll go as long as the time allows. We'll do a cutoff, and then the rest will be done after the Prime Minister leaves. That's what I've been advised. Okay, so we start with National Bank of Belarus.
Dear colleagues, I am short. National Bank Republic Belarus supports the principle of my declaration. We think it's very good document in our turbulent financial world. The national target is following. Now, in the 70% of citizens which have the salary, send your salary in the currency card. In the next 3 years, we want the 85% of citizens send your salary in the card. And we have the national strategy of financial literacy and for householders and national strategy payment for householders. It's short.
Thank you very much for being very efficient. Bank of Burundi. This is an updated commitment. Updated commitment.
Merci. Dr. Zeti, Bank of Malaysia, Mesdames, Messieurs les gouverneurs, chers participants, tirant l'expérience du succès connu dans la réalisation des engagements de la Banque de la République du Burundi et de la déclaration de Maya passée et sur des résultats de l'enquête sur l'inclusion financière, la Banque de la République du Burundi s'engage à mener les activités suivantes d'ici 2014. 1. Organiser au mois de novembre 2013 un atelier de réflexion sur l'exploitation à faire des résultats de l'enquête nationale sur l'inclusion financière en direction des différents intervenants dans le secteur financier, en vue d'amener tout un chacun à faire suite aux recommandations formulées dans le rapport de la dite enquête. 2. Mettre en place une réglementation des services financiers facilitée par les opérateurs de téléphonie mobile et des agents bancaires. 3. Promouvoir la transparence dans l'offre de services financiers offerts aussi bien par les banques que les institutions de microfinance. 4. Élaborer une stratégie nationale d'inclusion financière. 5. Lancer le processus d'éducation financière de la population. Et 6. Porter le degré d'inclusion financière qui est actuellement de 12,5% à au moins 25% jusqu'à 2015. Ainsi, la Banque de la République du Burundi réitère le ferme engagement de contribuer activement à l'amélioration de la vie de la population et à la réduction de la pauvreté à travers une politique de promotion de la croissance économique inclusive. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Burundi. Next, we have Banco Central de Reserva de El Salvador.
Esta es una declaración de El Salvador que hemos hecho conjuntamente las dos instituciones que tenemos que ver con inclusión financiera, la Superintendencia del Sistema Financiero y el Banco Central de Reserva. Hemos asumido el compromiso de realizar una serie de acciones concretas y medibles durante el periodo 2013-2015 para fomentar el acceso y uso de los servicios financieros que comprenden, entre otros, la emisión de regulación referida a servicios financieros móviles, desarrollar una estrategia para fomentar la educación financiera en la población no atendida tradicionalmente por el sistema bancario, la elaboración de estudios y otras acciones que permitan el desarrollo de microseguros, microcrédito, micropensiones, microahorro y la definición de indicadores de seguimiento para poder medir el avance de la inclusión financiera. En todas estas áreas tenemos ya algunos avances, pero me complace comunicarles que con relación a la emisión de la regulación de servicios financieros móviles, que resultó requerir una ley, ya este proyecto de ley se ha puesto en consulta con nuestra industria, lo cual en el caso de El Salvador es el requisito previo para ser enviado a la Asamblea Legislativa para su correspondiente aprobación. Gracias.
Thank you very much, El Salvador. Next, we have Banque de la République d'Haïti.
Merci. Je vais être très brève. La Banque centrale de la République d'Haïti s'engage à continuer la modernisation des systèmes de paiement pour se faire prendre les mesures appropriées pour encourager la population à utiliser les moyens de paiement autres que du cash dans les activités journalières. Finalisée au cours de l'année 2014, la plateforme où toutes les transactions des institutions financières peuvent être interconnectées. Cette plateforme pourra aussi être utilisée pour les transactions de mobile banking, des cartes de débit, des cartes prépayées, la compensation électronique des chèques, etc. Deuxième point, c'est finaliser et soumettre aux autorités haïtiennes concernées la législation sur la supervision des institutions de microfinance afin de permettre à ces institutions qui sont généralement les seules présentes dans un milieu rural d'opérer dans des meilleures conditions. De plus, cette législation permettra de réguler sur les domaines comme la protection du consommateur, éducation financière, transparence financière, etc. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Haiti. My apologies for number 3. I mentioned only the central bank and forgot the superintendencia for El Salvador. That statement was for both. Okay, next is Central Bank of Liberia.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Central Bank of Liberia will undertake initiatives to ensure that mobile financial services reach at least 50% of rural population of Liberia by 2014. The bank will also enhance the existing mobile guidelines to promote greater competition in the delivery of mobile financial services in the country. As part of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, the Central Bank of Liberia will develop by December 31st, 2014, the appropriate regulations and guidelines aimed at achieving the following objectives. 1, promoting the establishment and operations of rural community financial institutions in rural parts of the country. And 2, promoting the safe, sound, and efficient management of these institutions. The Central Bank will develop a comprehensive consumer protection and market conduct regulatory framework for financial sector, taking into account the microfinance and SME sectors. The Central Bank of Liberia will take steps to ensure that financial inclusion data are summarized and made available to relevant policymakers so that they will be informed in the decision-making process. The Central Bank of Liberia will also prepare by December 2014 a general report for publication on the state of financial inclusion in Liberia and will make that information available on its website. The Central Bank of Liberia will also engage relevant policymakers to ensure that adequate steps are taken to bring about an improvement in the state of financial inclusion with reference to the following financial inclusion indicators. 1, increase the number of the population that have access to formal financial services by 40% by 2017, and 2, increase the number of points of financial services by 50% by 2017. I thank you.
Thank you, Liberia. Next is Bank Al Maghrib, Morocco.
Nous, Banque centrale du Royaume du Maroc, nous engageons à porter le taux de bancarisation de la population aux 2/3 d'ici fin 2014, à travers la mise en place d'un ensemble de mesures incitatives pour agir sur le modèle de distribution des produits bancaires et des services de paiement. Nous nous engageons également à créer, avant la fin de cette année, une fondation nationale pour l'éducation financière chargée de mettre en œuvre la stratégie nationale de l'éducation financière. Nous nous engageons également à lancer avant fin 2013 une enquête pour évaluer la capacité financière de la population. Enfin, nous nous engageons à mettre en place des indicateurs de mesure incluant le concept de qualité des prestations des services financiers et nous nous engageons à continuer à œuvrer pour un environnement plus concurrentiel au service des clients. Dans ce sens, nous œuvrerons à développer la mobilité bancaire et le choix de client de son prestataire qui constituent des facteurs essentiels pour stimuler la concurrence dans les services bancaires aux particuliers. Merci.
Thank you, Morocco. Next is Nepal Rashtra Bank.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Nepal Rashtra Bank, the Central Bank of Nepal, in line with its stated objectives, strategic plans, and policies, makes the following commitments under the Maya Declaration to enhance the financial inclusion in Nepal. Actually, there are 4 broad areas of commitment. The first one is to promote financial literacy. And for promoting financial literacy, there are 3 different activities have been proposed. The first one is to develop a national level financial literacy strategy, and the deadline time frame for this is by the mid of 2014. To disseminate public awareness-oriented programs related to financial literacy through audio, visual, and press media, and to conduct the program Nepal Rashtra Bank with students at the school level to enhance financial literacy, especially targeting to students, youths. The second commitment is related to rural credit survey. Conduct a national level survey on rural credit by the end of 2014, focusing on access to finance, credit and interest rate structure, and financial literacy, and to use the findings to frame appropriate rural and micro finance policies. The third one is related to developing financial sector development strategy. Actually, this strategy is for the entire financial system of the country, and there will be some chapters incorporated in that strategy, and that chapters will deal basically with financial inclusion, financial literacy, financial education, and consumer protection. And our last agenda, fourth commitment is to enhance the quality of mobile money services. There are very few banks they have offered mobile finance services, but the quality of the existing services is not that much quite appropriate. So we need to improve the quality of existing mobile finance service. And one more thing that we are proposing is to introduce new mobile finance service to the poor. And this will be carried out probably by the end of 2014 with the help of some of the donor agencies, and they are willing to provide technical and financial support in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Nepal. We're told that this is as far as we can go for this first round. We have 5 more to go immediately after the closing ceremony, because we need to hear all of them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Governor. Thank you very much, all our colleagues. Now I would like for announcement of the Sasana Accord and the official closing ceremony. I'm very proud to invite again our MC, Mr. Dato Mahathir Lokman, whom you remember, of course, from the opening ceremony of the Global Policy Forum. Welcome.
Spasiba. Thank you very much, Mikhail Mamuta. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, who is the guest of honor who will preside the closing ceremony, will be arriving just in a moment. And we thank you for your gracious presence. For those of you who stayed right till the end of the forum, thank you. Mesdames et Messieurs, dans quelques instants, la cérémonie de clôture, officiée par le Premier ministre de Malaisie. Damas y caballeros, en un momento la ceremonia de clausura presidida por el Primer Ministro de Malasia. Un momento, gracias. We would like to remind you, immediately after the closing ceremony and the handing over of the next GPF, APF, JPF meeting, the 6th meeting, the country will be announced in a moment. We will have the continuation of the 5 countries' presentation of the Maya Declaration, and proceeding that will be the closing evaluation. So please stay till after the evaluation announcement. Thank you for your cooperation and your understanding. Please check if you have lost your iPhone, anyone. If you have misplaced your iPhone, we do have. Otherwise, you'll be going home to your countries tonight without the iPhone. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise to welcome the Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Dato Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Abdul Razak, accompanied by the Governor of Bank Negara, Tan Sri Dr. Zeti Akhtar Aziz, Mr. Nestor Espania Jr., Deputy Governor, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Chair of the AFI Steering Committee, and Mr. Alfred Hanek, Executive Director, AFI. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly take your seats. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Salam satu Malaysia. The Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, as guest of honor, Her Excellency, the Governor of Bank Negara Malaysia, His Excellency Mr. Nestor Espania Jr., Deputy Governor, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, and Chair of the AFI Steering Committee, and Mr. Alfred Hanek, and Executive Director, AFI, distinguished speakers and participants, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and welcome to the Alliance for Financial Inclusion, AFI Global Policy Forum 2013, and also the 5th meeting around the world, and to be officiated the closing ceremony by the Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia. Do join me in a round of applause to thank the Prime Minister for making time to be with us. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin the ceremony, may I invite the Deputy Governor, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Chair of the AFI Steering Committee, Mr. Nestor Espania Jr., to present the Sasana Accord.
The Honorable Dato Sri Muhammad Najib bin Tun Haji Abdul Razak, Prime Minister of Malaysia, Governor Zeti Akhtar Aziz, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to announce the Sasana Accord under the Maya Declaration framework. This document was approved during the second general meeting of the AFI last Tuesday, September 10. It reads, in September 2013, we, the members of Alliance for Financial Inclusion, on the occasion of the AFI Global Policy Forum held at Sasana Kijang in Kuala Lumpur, following the wide-ranging impact and contributions to financial inclusion made in the Maya Declaration and the commitments it has inspired, hereby agree to strengthen the effectiveness of the members' commitments by undertaking the following actions. We will strive to achieve our commitments to financial inclusion through a set of measurable national goals. We will measure our progress in financial inclusion based on common indicators as identified and quantified in the core set of AFI financial inclusion data, and will publicly release this information annually. We will continue to work in a cooperative and cohesive manner toward integrating the financial inclusion agenda into our country's policies and programs, and ensure that the implementation of financial inclusion at the national level will contribute towards improvement of the underserved and unserved population in the global community. And we will reinforce our institutional capacity and talent for formulation and implementation of effective financial inclusion policies that will deliver the optimal impact. Through the Sasana Accord, financial inclusion policy making and strategies will see evidence and data-based results and contribute to accelerated progress and the measurement of its impact. Financial inclusion for purposes of the Maya Declaration refers not only to access, but also to usage of financial services and products, as well as the quality dimension of financial inclusion. We believe that financial inclusion policy is an essential tool for bringing 2.5 billion out of poverty. The AFI network remains fully committed to promoting and expanding knowledge and understanding of optimal impact financial inclusion policy through a peer-to-peer approach to deliver our financial inclusion goals. End of the accord.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Madam Salamat po. To Mr. Nestor Espinel Jr., Deputy Governor, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Chair of the AFI Steering Committee. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and now the closing remarks by Alfred Hennig, the Executive Director for AFI.
Honorable Dato Sri Najib bin Haji Abdul Razak, Prime Minister of Malaysia, Governor Zeti, dear governors, deputy governors, dear members, dear participants, this is our last day of the forum, and I can tell that it was a very intense forum. Every forum is different. We have seen now 5 of them, and all of them have been very successful. I think this one feels like the best. Without downgrading the other ones we have seen, they all played a very important role along the road. But this one perhaps has been the most important for us because many things come together. What comes together is the sense of community, the friendship with the partners, the agreements, the additional commitments, and most importantly, the decision to become an independent organization. I think this all together kept us extremely busy. And I think I can tell from what I heard in the audience that we all felt that we worked a lot. But I think we worked for a great purpose. And this is to bring financial inclusion to those who are still unserved, and there are many of us. Now, quickly, and this might also perhaps be a high-level quick summary for the Honorable Prime Minister. We have seen some progress at this forum, which is quite remarkable. On the independence that I mentioned, I think I would like to first announce that on this Friday, as a subcommittee on host country evaluation has already announced to you, you will find on the AFI website the launch of the expression of interest to bid for AFI as a host country. This will be on the website tomorrow, and I would like to invite all of you to consider this bid. This is open. Everyone can participate. The second deliverable of this 5th forum of AFI is certainly the Sasana Accord. We have just heard it. And the Sasana Accord comes with substantial improvement of the commitments that have already been made, because we committed to do 2 things: to become even more measurable, and secondly, to look into quality of financial inclusion. This is extremely important. In addition to that, we committed to capacity building activities that would support our other efforts in this area. The third very important deliverable of this forum is our work with the SSB that is going to go into a peer learning program. The members unanimously agreed upon the endorsement of the peer learning program that we have suggested with the SSBs. We have opted for a gradual approach, which means that we will start among ourselves in terms of collecting practical experience, but at the same time trying to define the interface with the standard setting bodies, which can take many forms. And the good news is that Her Majesty, Queen Maxima, has actually committed to support us in this effort by convening the SSBs. I think this is a great result. I also would like to mention that we will go regional. We have already 2 regional initiatives, but the demand from this group to further develop our regional initiatives has been very strong and visible, and I think in an appropriate way we are going to explore further opportunities to work with other regions. I also would like to mention that 2 new working groups, 2 very relevant working groups, have been set up and launched and took up their tasks, which is the working group on SME finance, but also the working group on financial inclusion strategy peer learning program. Most importantly, and this is maybe the less tangible outcome of this forum, but at least I think you can feel it, and this is the ownership. The ownership and the sense of community that has grown at this meeting is just overwhelming. I can see, and I've never actually realized that in a forum, I've never heard the word we so often as I have heard it in this forum. I think this was spectacular progress, and I think it has a lot to do with the launching of the independence. But I must also say that this we includes all our external partners who are with us, because we all need to work together to make this happen. Before I go, I would like really to pay my deep respect to Bank Negara Malaysia and say thanks for making this happen. And my thanks go to Governor Zeti herself, who is personally committed, I would say financial inclusion combatant. She's behind this thing, she's driving it, and we thank her and her team for making this such an effective event. And of course, there are many other people who have done that, our AFI team, so many out there. And I cannot thank everyone, but I would just like to talk about the dimension of the thanks, and that is easy because yesterday, when I looked around, just look at the tiny little detail of everything you find, even on your table at the dinner place. You will find the logo, you will find everything is done, and everything actually could only be done because someone must have really worked very hard day and night to make this happen. And I think this is visible, and this is really great. So thanks everyone who made this happen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and all I can say, we are in good shape, and I see you next year. We will hear a little bit later.
Democracy, thank you to Alfred Hennig, the AFI Executive Director. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is great honor for me to invite our guest of honor, the Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Dr. Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Abdul Razak, to present the keynote address and to declare the 5th Alliance for Financial Inclusion, AFI Global Policy Forum 2013 officially closed.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And a very good evening. Yang berbahagia Dr. Zeti Akhtar Aziz, Governor, Central Bank of Malaysia and co-host of the AFI Global Policy Forum 2013, Dr. Alfred Henning, Executive Director, AFI, Mr. Ernesto Espanilla, Jr., Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of the Philippines and alternate chairman, distinguished participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to join you today at the 5th Global Policy Forum, which has brought together policymakers, industry leaders, and distinguished participants from more than 100 countries across the globe, or more than 80 across the globe to be more precise. On behalf of all Malaysians, let me offer you a very, very warm welcome and congratulate you for a very productive 3 days. After hearing Mr. Henning's speech, I think you have accomplished much over the last 3 days. So my heartiest congratulations to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, as policymakers and as people, we are stronger when we work together. Seems obvious, doesn't it? The ability to share common challenges, to share ideas, to share experiences can help us make better, more informative decisions. The Global Policy Forum is a testament to the enormous potential that collaboration can unlock. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1932, an American president spoke of restoring the welfare and soundness of a nation by constructing a more inclusive society, of building a country and an economy in which no citizen is left out, responding to the devastation wrought about upon American lives by the Great Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal set out to reduce unemployment, provide welfare for the poor, and restore America's prospects. 80 years later, as we recover from another global financial crisis, policymakers are once more searching for a new deal. The economic models which powered development during the last century, i.e., the extraction of resources, the relentless focus on shareholder value, the growing reach and influence of the financial sector are being recast. It is clear that we must find the foundations for sustainable and inclusive development. What matters now is not just the quantity of economic activity, but the quality of growth. And that includes the quality of financial inclusion as well. In the aftermath of the recent financial crisis, waves of economic, financial, and structural reform are washing over the world economy. The systems which emerge from this reordering will look rather different to those who went before, and with good reason. Citizens, governments, and businesses have a right to demand that past mistakes or mistakes of the past will not be revisited. We all want to see healthy, productive, and well-regulated financial sectors. We all want businesses to pursue and practice sustainable growth. And we all want economies that offer greater opportunity to more people, the masses. It is this latter aim that sits at the heart of today's conference, and indeed, the Alliance for Financial Inclusion's work. Ladies and gentlemen, The downturn brought the opportunity deficit, which had built up over the past century, into sharp focus. While standards of living have improved across the world, too many people remain outside the curve, shut off from progress, lacking the means or the opportunity to elevate themselves from their predicament. There is still much to be done to address income inequality, the inequality of wealth and opportunity, and to lift more than 2.5 billion people out of poverty. In emerging economies that have experienced strong growth in a recent decade, these challenges have become more pronounced. Their sheer pace of development has exaggerated the contrast between those who have benefited and those who have not. And it is increasingly clear that the pursuit of an inclusive economy stands or extends far beyond the specific problem of poverty. Tackling exclusion also means creating equal opportunity, ensuring those at the margin of society can participate and participate meaningfully in the national economy. Macroeconomic policies need to support the development of a broader-based economy that fosters a wider range of economic opportunities. We must provide opportunities for employment, or more specifically, gainful employment. We must commit resources to urban and rural development, improve access to health care, to education and finance, and facilitate wider ownership of businesses. Many economies, and not just in the developing world, share these aims or ambitions. They are the precursors for truly sustainable growth. Of course, no two countries will reach them precisely the same way, but we are all talking about a common destination. Whilst we choose our own path, but we want to reach the same destination. And in agreeing general principles and forming specific policies, we would do well to learn from each other's experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, over the course of this conference, I'm sure policymakers have been absorbed or have absorbed some of the successes in the struggle for a more inclusive global economy. And it is my hope that in turn, Malaysia's journey or Malaysia's development journey may prove equally instructive and useful. Since gaining independence in 1957, we have focused on efficiently managing our natural resources while making strategic investments in physical infrastructure and providing universal primary education and primary healthcare services. Based on UN estimates, poverty in Malaysia has fallen sharply from 17% in 1990 to 3.8% in 2009, and the figure today is even lower. We have achieved gender parity at all levels of education. In fact, women are doing better than men. At the tertiary level, and you will be aghast to know the figure, is 68% women in our public universities. And we are on track to achieve most of the Millennium Development Goals in aggregate terms by 2015. In line with the post-2015 Global Development Agenda, the government has reinforced its focus on inclusive social and economic development in the 10th Malaysia Plan, with 30% of development expenditure allocated to the social sector. It is this plan, along with balanced programs of political and economic reform, which represents our development ambitions, premised on a philosophy of promoting balanced and equitable growth, or growth with equity. The 10th Malaysia Plan prioritizes the 2.4 million most vulnerable households with a particular focus on women, youth, and indigenous communities. Our policies are designed to open up opportunity outside our cities by improving the infrastructure, economy, and quality of life in rural communities, addressing rising living costs, and continue to fight against hardcore and relative poverty by enabling, amongst others, or other measures to promote small businesses to flourish, and of course, enhancing our human capital component with a strong emphasis on early education. We have also sought to address the non-income dimensions of exclusion by promoting greater gender equality, and empowerment. To this end, we have initiatives to increase the participation of women in senior levels in both the public and private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, in development as in a wider economy, I believe the trend is positive. But as we have seen over the last 5 years, the true test, the acid test of a nation's health or economy comes during a crisis. It is easy to make ambitious commitments during the good times, but harder to sustain them when economic or political systems come under real pressure. For Malaysia, we faced such a situation in 1997 when Asia suffered its own financial crisis. In that very difficult period, Malaysia, along with many of our neighbors, saw clearly the need to strengthen the foundations of our economies. The immediate challenges of restoring stability and growth also provided us with the opportunity to resolve to advance deep structural reforms. These, in turn, made us significantly more resilient when a decade later, a new financial crisis began bubbling up in the United States. Having taken necessary steps to fortify our economy after the 1997 crisis, we were that much better prepared for 2007. External trade, which remains a key component of our economy, is now balanced with greater domestic consumption, with the services sector making a significant and growing contribution to GDP. Our banking system has been consolidated, rationalized, and recapitalized to strengthen its resilience. And our bond market is recognized as one of the most developed and dynamic in the region, growing by 57% since 2009. This growth was complemented by the development of more comprehensive financial safety nets, including an effective deposit insurance system. We also made significant changes to the role of banks in the intermediation process, with a much greater share of retail and small business loans contributing to banks' lending activities, and the capital markets became more efficient in servicing the financing needs of larger corporations. Together, these changes have ushered in a more effective financial system with the fundamental objective of serving the economy and our people better. But while Malaysia has achieved significant progress in terms of access to credit and financial literacy, and of course, I'm reminded that we have been rated as the #1 country in terms of credit access for 3 years running, so that's a feather in the cap for our central bank. There is a great deal more to be done. In particular, we must redouble our efforts to ensure much wider access to financing and much greater financial literacy. Our vision is to equip all Malaysians with an essential understanding of sound financial management. And that's quite important because some people like to live beyond their means. Right, we have to advise them then, provide them with the means and opportunity to improve their financial position, and assuring them of the right to fair treatment as financial consumers. This realization or the realization of this vision requires shared responsibility. Responsibility in terms of the government through appropriate education, development policies, by the regulators through facilitative regulatory framework and strong consumer protection standards, and by the financial industry through responsible innovation and financial practices, and no funny financial products to be sold in this country. I must stress that. And by individual consumers through the appropriate exercise of choice and prudent financial management. Ladies and gentlemen, Bank Negara's Financial Sector Blueprint 2011-2020 charts a clear path towards greater financial inclusion in Malaysia. And I'm greatly encouraged by the work which is already underway. The intensification of financial education programs, the expansion of mobile and agent banking channels, and the strengthening of legislative framework for consumer credit. In these efforts, we continue to learn valuable lessons from the experiences of other countries, and in turn, we offer our own experiences to help others succeed. On that note, it is heartening to witness the impressive strides that Alliance has made in its rather short history, not just in turning a spotlight on financial inclusion globally, but also galvanizing concrete actions to increase it. And I applaud the efforts and achievements made by all countries present here today to make financial inclusion a reality. Each step towards greater financial inclusion actually means helping millions of people in your own countries. But by sharing the lessons learned along the way, it also brings the prospects of a truly inclusive global economy ever closer. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih, Honorable Prime Minister. May I now invite the Governor of Bank Negara, accompanied by the Deputy Governor of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and AFI Steering Executive Director, on stage with the Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, before the Prime Minister strike the traditional gong 3 times to symbolize the official closing of the 2013 AFI Global Policy Forum here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. May I now graciously call upon on stage to witness the event our next 6th AFI Global Policy Forum 2014 host from the Caribbean island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. And now for the official closing ceremony, the Prime Minister will strike the traditional gong for the final moment here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, 3 times. Terima kasih, thank you. Congratulations, Malaysia. And now the traditional passing over symbolically of the gong through the striker by the Prime Minister to the representative from Trinidad and Tobago to say congratulations and good luck. We will see you in Trinidad and Tobago for the 6th AFI GPF 2014. And you can get more sun there too. Congratulations. So ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to say thank you to the Prime Minister of Malaysia for presiding our closing ceremony. Thank you on behalf of everyone at Bank Negara Malaysia to the Bank Negara Governor, Tan Sri Zati. Let's give her a big round of applause. And also the Prime Minister. Representing the AFI Steering Committee Chairman, the Deputy Governor of the Bangko Sentral de Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po to thank you, Deputy Governor Espinilla, and of course, in addition to Alfred Hanik. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Announcing the departure of the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Terima kasih. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly stay as we'll have the closing, the rest of the Maya Declaration, and the evaluation announcements. I've come to the end of my part as MC. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful experience. Now I'll pass over to the next 2 MCs from Russia, Mikhail Mamuta, and from Malaysia, Suhaimi Ali. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, listen, this is a question. Okay, so, well, it was great. I think you all agree that it was really great, and again, congratulations to the next hoster of GPF. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have not finished yet. I would like to remind you that we are in a process of new commitments to Maya Declaration. So please take your seats. It will not take too much time because you see we are very concrete in our commitments. Maybe another 15 minutes, and then some formal issues related to evaluation before we close the forum, not officially, but in fact. Yeah. Let me invite Governor Ndulu to continue this important session of the forum. Please.
Okay, the next one we have is Central Bank of Bangladesh. It was not originally there.
Thank you. Bangladesh Bank announcement of new commitments to the Maya Declaration to be achieved by the next 1 year falls under 4 categories. Number 1, mobile banking. Currently, mobile banking in Bangladesh has already consolidated the first phase of its goal, that is, first phase of goals. In the next 1 year, we intend to complete the second phase steps of number 1, using it as deposit mobilization instrument, using it for disbursement and recovery of bank loans. And number 3, broad-basing its use in e-commerce. Under the category 2, enhance inclusive financing in the next 1 year. Current level of financing will be enhanced significantly in the following areas. Share of SME agricultural financing in total credit of banking sector will be enhanced by at least 2 percentage points from the current level of 22% of the total credit portfolios. Number 2, environmental friendly green banking will be enhanced by 10% from the current level of 1.12 billion Bangladesh taka. Category number 3, financial inclusion drive through bank accounts. Bangladesh is pursuing its financial inclusion drive through various innovative programs, of which school banking and bank deposit accounts can play an important role to this drive. Our goal is therefore in these areas are, number 1, the number of bank accounts under school banking will be increased to 450,000, which is double from the current level of 225,000 by the next 1 year. Number 2, total number of deposit accounts as a percent of population age 15 plus years will be enhanced at least 8 percentage points from the current level of 64% by the next 1 year. And number 4 category, we are committing here to start initializing the work of establishing a credit information bureau, especially for the microcredit sector. That's all from Bangladesh Bank. We are committed to complete in next 1 year. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bangladesh. Next is Bank of Papua New Guinea.
Thank you, moderator. The Bank of Papua New Guinea makes this commitment under the Maya Declaration to reach the next mile in our efforts to provide sustainable access to a wide range of financial services for the low-income and rural population in Papua New Guinea. Firstly, as part of our national strategy for financial inclusion and financial literacy 2014-2015, number 1, to reach 1 million more unbanked low-income Papua New Guinea, low-income people in Papua New Guinea, 50% of which or whom will be women. Number 2, to lead efforts to create a financially competent generation of Papua New Guineans through financial education and financial literacy. Number 3, to actively support innovative use of technology for scaling up access to financial services and financial literacy. 4, to strengthen consumer protection by issuing prudential guidelines and creating a platform for various national regulators and industry networks, and to monitor consumer protection. 5, to begin the process of integrating financial inclusion in local and national government including getting the National Executive Council to endorse the National Financial Inclusion and Financial Literacy Strategy by Q4 of 2013. 6, to promote regular collection and use of financial access data to inform policy making and help identify key dimensions of financial inclusion in Papua New Guinea. And finally, 7, to optimize these results through knowledge sharing and effective coordination for stakeholders, including development partners, by the newly established Center of Excellence for Financial Inclusion, or in short, CEFI, which is chaired by the Bank of Papua New Guinea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Papua New Guinea. Next is Superintendencia de Bancos de Panama.
La Superintendencia de Bancos de Panamá ha establecido 3 compromisos en el marco de la Declaración Maya. Primero, el desarrollo de una regulación sobre corresponsales no bancarios y el impacto y medición de esta figura en la inclusión financiera panameña. Este compromiso ya está actualmente en ejecución. Segundo, el desarrollo de la regulación sobre las disposiciones para las cuentas de trámite simplificado o cuentas light y la medición del impacto de esta figura en la inclusión financiera panameña. Y tercero, promover el desarrollo de la utilización de pagos móviles como medio para incluir a los no incluidos y la medición constante de este desarrollo y evolución para identificar la necesidad de una posible regulación específica. Gracias.
Thank you, Panama. Next is Central Bank of Samoa.
Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the Central Bank of Samoa would like to take the next step in its financial inclusion journey and wishes to make specific commitments under the Maya Declaration. For the medium term 2014-2017, the Central Bank of Samoa commits as follows. 1, to establish a national coordinating body for financial inclusion by June 2014. 2, to enact a new law, National Payment System Act, to regulate electronic money by early 2014. 3, to increase financial service access to 50% of our population who are in the rural areas through mobile phone financial services, institutional innovations, and other initiatives by 2016. 4, to establish an effective financial consumer protection regime by June 2016. 5, to continuously monitor and track financial inclusion progress through data collection to reveal market opportunities and improve policy design, and publish by 2016 biannual reports on these findings to inform market players. 6, to partner with the Ministry of Education in the integration and strengthening of the financial education within the Samoa National School curriculum for primary and secondary schools, and we will target a full implementation by 2017. And lastly, to provide an enabling environment for inclusive insurance markets and microinsurance by 2017. Thank you.
Thank you, Samoa. Next is Bank of Sierra Leone.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this commitment was made in 2012, but we were not able to make it publicly, so we are doing that now and also giving it an update. The Bank of Sierra Leone commits to pursue the undermentioned activities within the time frame indicated as short-term steps to enhance financial inclusion in Sierra Leone. 1, A framework for collecting financial inclusion data will be developed by the end of 2013 and will culminate in the setting up of a database by the end of 2014 to monitor financial inclusion indicators. 2, modernize the national payment system and go live by the end of the second quarter of 2013. This has been achieved. Put in place a regulatory framework and specific guidelines on mobile financial services by mid-2013. This has been done by the Bank of Sierra Leone, and it is awaiting peer review by AFI. 4, a private sector-driven rural financing penetration will be encouraged to increase access to finance through the establishment of additional financial services associations, community banks, and commercial bank branches. The number of FSAs will increase from 42 to 65, community banks from 13 to 22, and commercial bank branches from 87 to 100. It is envisaged that the additional FSAs, CBs, and CBBs will increase financial outreach by about 30% by the end of 2014. The Bank of Sierra Leone is also committed to periodically interact with AFI to report on progress made towards eradicating financial inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra Leone. And now, last but importantly, not least, is our next host, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago.
My dear colleagues, I'm very proud and pleased on behalf of the Governor of the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, Governor Joala Rambaran, to declare the Trinidad and Tobago Financial Inclusion Commitment to transform the National Financial Literacy Program into a National Training Institute for Financial Inclusion by the end of December 2014. The Institute will work with key stakeholders to develop a national financial inclusion strategy based on the G20 principles of leadership, cooperation, and empowerment. Our financial inclusion strategy will focus on the major pillars of financial education and financial consumer protection. See you all in the beautiful paradise called Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, thank you, our host, and we look forward to coming to the paradise. Well, this brings to a close all new commitments, and I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate all those that have made new commitments, and the work starts now. So next time we hear from you is progress report. I'm told now to make this correct, including all those that just made the commitments. The total has come to 45. I made a mistake earlier. The total is 45. Huh? And thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the close of 2013 AFI Global Policy Forum with the theme Driving Policies for Optimal Impact. Before we leave, please fill out the evaluation form for today. And the form is also available in Spanish and French. Before that, I would also like to invite Mr. Alfred Henning to say a few words, a few parting words to everyone before we conclude the session.
Yeah, thank you very much, because you know when you have such a distinguished personality like the Prime Minister in the room, you try to be fast and you cannot say everything that you want. And this is about people and about faces. And can I please ask our two MCs to the floor?
Sure.
So this is Mikhail Mahmuta and Mr. Suhaimi.
Thank you.
We just wanted to thank you for emceeing us through these 2 days. I think you have done very well. And you have also done it well under the agenda, which sometimes looks a bit like a moving target. But I think you have done very well, and thanks very much for this. Please stay. And then, of course, as I said, many people are working behind the scenes, and perhaps this stage would collapse if I ask everyone to come over here. So I'm not taking the risk, and maybe the governor then will fire me when I cause a distraction here. I heard that she can be very strong, especially with the bonuses and all that. So I don't want to, and strict. I don't want to risk anything, but I at least want to bring two faces to the floor. This is Song Ali. She's our, we call it a task team leader, and the name of the task team is Global Policy Forum. So please, Songa. And of course, Mr. Kamari, who is heading the BNM team. So I can tell you that these two individuals have not been alone. There's a big group of people. I think on each side, if we count, we are maybe reaching maybe 3 digits. I'm not sure, but we are definitely reaching a big number of people. So I would like to thank both of you for making this happen. This is a policy driving network. Sometimes we felt that we were driven by BNM quite a lot. BNM actually asked us, normally we start organizing these GPFs with the first on-site visit in February. In this case, BNM encouraged us, I should say, to come already in November. So we need to get everything right. And I think everything was perfectly set up and planned, and great planning capacity on the side of our host, and I think a great team that is working behind the scenes. I'm sure that we have, and I know we have had many sleepless nights in the past days especially, but also in the preparation. It is hard to imagine what it takes to organize such an event and to make it successful. So let's give a hand also to the two team leaders. Thank you. So this is now definitely all from my side. Enjoy your time and see you in paradise. Thank you.
I'm not done yet, please.